every single person on our team has got a bit of a scaredy cat mindset when it comes to getting stuck in. Apart from Romero, who's an absolute lunatic, who goes too far the other way. He's a nutcase. Morning everybody, how are you? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. My trusty sidekick, Bugsy Malone, is right next to me. And this is a very sad Thursday, an angry Thursday actually. The 9th of March, the 2023 version of it. This is episode 170, I think, of Tottenham Walks, and I hope you are all, well, I hope you're all healthy. I don't expect you all to be happy right now. And I hope that you're finding other things that you love to do rather than worry about Tottenham too much. Because what an absolute debacle it was last night. And I feel like the season's over after this. Absent some kind of giant catalyst for change that needs to happen right now, then the season's gonna fizzle out. We put in 3 performances on the bounce that offered absolutely nothing to be inspired from any of the players, from any of the management, any of the coaches. And to be honest, even the fans last night, I would have thought I was expecting a lot more, but we gave Milan absolutely nothing to worry about. Not on the pitch or in the stands. The loudest I heard the fans in the stadium was before the game. In the 5 minutes before the game. And I'm not blaming the fans, because the fans need to feed off of something. They need some food to survive. And the players gave them absolutely nothing, which is disgusting. It's disgusting. To a man, every one of them has got something going on with the energy and the chemistry and the synchronicity. The only players that I think can walk off that pitch with their heads held high last night was Fraser Foster, Pedro Porro and Ollie Skipp. To me, I thought Harry Kane tried a little bit more. He looked a little bit more engaged and interested. But the rest of them, Heung-min Son, dead food. The guy's done. Anyone that still has loyalties towards playing him or justifying him playing is it's a stretch. I love Heung-min Son. I'm devastated that he has fallen from his high perch to where he is. But I've said it before, if you were to watch him and isolate this season, if you've been living under a rock and you came out of hiding and you saw this season's version of Heung-min Son, you would be saying he's a championship level player. Because he has been atrocious in all but about 45 minutes worth of football. And it's you hold him to such higher standards because of how great he is. So, I get more frustrated with him than anyone else because I expect so much more from him. DEKI, to be honest, he was more busy in the game. We were pushing stuff down the right-hand side, I think because a lot of the players don't have any trust in our left-hand side. And look, I'm not going to allow, before I get to DEKI, let me stick to the left. PERISIC. Wah, wah, wah. What the hell is that about? He has been abject. Abject. What does he offer? What does he offer Tottenham apart from a bunch of set-piece efforts 4 months ago? He's done absolutely nothing for us. He can't run, he can't dribble. I used to think his little consistent cadence of his step-overs was trickery and that it was difficult to predict which way he was going to drop his shoulder. But actually, he's not doing it as a tactic. He's doing it because he's just slow. He hasn't got speed of foot to be able to do step-overs. It's telegraphed. He's awful. He's awful defensively. He offers nothing going forward. Maybe it's because he's getting played too much. But then you pivot back to the ownership and the management for agreeing to let go of Matt Doherty when you know that you've got a 34-year-old, or however old he is, who's on his last legs, and Sessegnon, who has got the fragility of a paper cup. You know, for me, it's absolutely awful down the left-hand side. Down the right-hand side last night, DEKI was absolutely useless. The most predictable player. I mean, listen, I love DEKI as well. Got so much time for the guy. He's a monster player, and I know he's just in a bit of bad form. And I think it's in no small part down to him recovering from his injury, because you can see he doesn't want to drop into second gear when he's sprinting. He doesn't want to sprint at all. Last night, I know that Tomori is a fast player, but when we put that ball down the channel in the first half, Tomori was at a canter, and he just oozed past DEKI. DEKI looks like he's on a fast dribble when he's sprinting at the moment. And he's very predictable with what he does with the ball every time. Holds his hand out, tries to use his body strength, pulls the ball back to the corner of the 18-yard box and then try and whip it in. And look, I'm all for making a mistake, but the weight of his crosses yesterday, what was it, 4 times he knocks the ball out? We were sitting there. For the first time ever, you see Tottenham actually get a couple of players into the box at certain key moments. Because that's a rarity, by the way. And Kulusevski bangs it 10 yards too heavy. Like, you need these players to have composure, because it's moments that changes games. Absolutely terrible. I thought Skippy played, as I say, I thought Skippy was good once again, and he is a bright spark. It's good to see him come back from his injury. It seems like that's out of the way now, and some of the defensive work he was doing, some of the passes he was putting in, his composure on the ball, he does look like a light at the end of the tunnel. Pedro Porro as well, when he came on, I thought he was excellent. Getting forward, his ability to cross the ball into dangerous areas is, you know, that's an exciting thing to look forward to. Once we get a new system in play, once we get some new players, once we get the giant factory fucking reset that is necessary. I spoke about a giant reset at Tottenham to nuke the whole system a couple of months ago, I think it was. I'll put the video there if you want to go and check it out. You know, to me, look, everything at Tottenham needs to go. Everything at Tottenham needs to change. Everything does. The coach, sorry Conte, but like, there's no defending that substitution at the end of the game. There's absolutely no defending it. You need a goal. You spent the first 50 minutes of the game defending a 1-goal deficit with absolutely no pressure or effort or meaningful desire to score, just to go for it in the second half. And then when you get a stupid sending off from Bozo Romero, you take off DEKI and bring on Sanchez when you need at least a goal to stay in the game. Like, there's just no defending that substitution. It doesn't make any sense at all. Unless there was an injury. Right? Unless DEKI at the same time was saying, guys, I'm cooked. And even then, you could have brought on somebody else that could have offered an attacking threat. Danjuma. What was the point of signing him? What was the point of signing him? Like, we haven't seen him. Now, maybe Conte sees something in him in training, just like Jez Spence, and thinks, nope. But Conte hasn't been in training. So, I mean, is it Ryan Mason and Stellini's feedback that is telling Conte that Danjuma ain't worth the minutes? Because when you need a goal and you bring off PERISIC, rightly so, and you bring on Porro, and you put Emerson at left wing back, when you've got Danjuma that could have done it, he could have done it, because AC Milan weren't threatening down that side, and Tottenham needed a goal. Madness. And then you hear the comments after the game from Conte. I haven't got them in front of me, so I'm going to paraphrase, but basically, kind of with a bit of petulance. Like, I'm not talking about my future right now. I told you the club, and the club know exactly how I feel. We'll discuss it at the end of the season. Just go, bro. Just go. We all know you ain't going to be here. Thank you next. Wrong man for the wrong club. I'm not saying I dislike the guy. I'm not saying he's not a great manager, but he requires certain tools and certain things in his armoury to do what he does, and Tottenham aren't going to provide them. But even if they were to provide them, I'm sorry, this inability to pivot inability to change formation. In fact, I say that because I'm used to saying it over the course of a season, but last night we did pivot to a 4, and it worked for a while. It worked. We went to a 4 at the back, and that was when we started to kind of to galvanise some opportunities. And then, of course, Romero does his thing. Silly boy. That guy, listen, he can't escape criticism because he needs to, like, figure it out. He's not composed, is he? He's not composed. You got 10 players on our pitch last night. Every one of them was cowardly when it came to getting stuck into second balls, to loose balls, to 50-50 challenges. Højbjerg shied away from, I counted 4 or 5 in the first half moments where he could have got stuck in and didn't. Same with SONNY, terrified, scared of his own shadow, that guy. DEKI as well, the strongest player on our pitch probably, got bullied by Theo Hernandez. Bullied. And listen, Theo Hernandez is a phenomenal player, but every single person on our team has got a bit of a scaredy cat mindset when it comes to getting stuck in. Apart from Romero, who's an absolute lunatic, who goes too far the other way. He's a nutcase. And look, most of us, I'm sure if you're watching this, you'll have thought it last season as well. We all saw him last season when he was playing outside of his injury period and thought, this guy's got red cards in him, he needs to calm down. And he got away with it last season. This season it's catching up with him. And you know, what is it, Paolo Maldini said, didn't he? You know, if you're a defender and you're needing to slide in, then you're in the wrong position or something like that. To that, you know, some words to that extent. Bugsy! God, I'm angry with the whole lot. As I said before, something needs to change. You know, you can either accept that the season's just going to whimper out and, you know, just we'll end up 6th or 7th because performances like we've been putting in the last 3 days, I don't see us beating Forest. I don't see us beating any team really the way we're playing at the moment because we can't create anything. We can't score a goal. There's no creativity in this team. And you can't sack 25 players. You can't change the entire squad. And you can't sack the ownership. So the only thing that can change, and that should change, is the manager or the coaching staff. That side of it. You know? And there has to be some responsibility there. You know, at the end of the day, the man's getting paid £15 million a year. If you are of the impression that he deserves no blame, or even just a tiny slight slither of blame, then I'm not on the same page as you. His football is horrific. His in-game management leaves a lot to be desired, and I would go as far as to call it arrogance in press conferences leaves a really bad taste in my mouth. It always has. Always has. From the moment he arrived here, he always came across as someone who was doing us a favour. And I don't want someone like that in charge of my team, especially when you put out the shit show that you're putting out every week. And if the argument that gets thrown back is the players aren't good enough, you know what? Every other team in the Premier League plays better football than Tottenham Hotspur. Sheffield United B team plays better football than Tottenham Hotspur. AC Milan plays better football than Tottenham Hotspur. Everybody, Woking down the road from me, probably plays better football than Tottenham Hotspur. Our players are good enough to play far better football than we currently are. It's either by design, or it's a downing of tools from individuals, or it's just a give a shit attitude that the players put out there when they're on the pitch, and ultimately the buck stops at the top. An often used phrase when using to criticise Daniel Levy, and fair enough, but you can make that same apparent argument when it comes to what you see on the pitch. The buck stops if the energy and the desire to make something happen on the pitch on games like that, Champions League last 16, second leg, when they're there for the taking, that's what you can do, the best you can do, then I don't think you're playing for your manager. And I think that something has to change, and the obvious change, the only change you can make, is the manager. It's the only change you can make. You can't sack everybody, and you can't force the owners out. And anyone that wants Levy out, do your thing. I encourage you all to spread your energy the way that you feel fit. Because like I said in that video, for me, you need a giant reset. You do need a giant reset. Everything needs to go. But that's unlikely. It's not going to happen, is it? It's just not going to happen. The owners aren't going to change until they get their bid. And when the new owners come in, whoever they are, whenever that is, there's no guarantee at all in any way, shape or form that anything changes with regards to Tottenham's youth development or talent acquisition, talent ID. The only thing that changes is the financial situation and possibly the risk tolerance, whether it comes tighter or looser. But there's no guarantee that you're going to get anything better than what you have. There's no guarantee you're going to get worse than what you have. It's an unknown. But in any event, all of those things ain't going to materialise until someone ponies up the money. And whatever number that is, no one's paying it yet. Until then, expect change, demand change, but demand it where it's possible to be demanding. And I think you have to look at the management. I think you have to. And I'd be surprised if there's people in the comments at the end of this video who still say that they have 100% full confidence in Antonio Conte. I'm sure there'll be people that will say that it's Levy's fault, and that's fine, no problem. But what do we do in the short term? Long term, we can all hope for a new owner, a new model, if that's what you want, and I understand it. Short term, we need something else to change. Moving on, to finish up, because I'm going through the team. Richarlison comes out last night after the game, speaks to the media, the Brazilian media, basically throws the club or the management under the bus. Basically says, again, I haven't got the thing with me, the phrase with me, so I'm going to paraphrase it. I could butcher it, but essentially said, this season has been an absolute disaster for me. You know, can't get the minutes. The club asked me to do a fitness test because I was supposed to be playing, and then I come to the club and I'm on the bench again. You know, I don't understand what I've got to do to play. If that is not a vocal representation of the frustrations that exist clearly within this club, then I don't know what is. He is somebody who has the balls, the stones to say something which he shouldn't be saying, the lack of professionalism, however you want to view his outburst. That is an outburst that's aimed at Conte and Stellini and the coaching staff. And he's basically saying, I'm being treated unfairly. To me personally, I think it's really poor to throw your manager under the bus. But then you know what? I think it's really poor when Conte throws the players under the bus like he did after the Leicester game, saying that there's mentality issues and all that stuff. I didn't like how Conte basically threw Jed Spence under the bus the second he walked through the door. So, you know, it feels like there's a precedent been set to be able to throw people under the bus in front of the media, and it's again just a toxic environment. But at the same time, however you think I'm glad that there's at least some evidence of the lingering thought in my mind that there is a really bad atmosphere, toxic environment in the dressing room, and that is an example of it. But you know what, Richarlison, what I would say, bro, is you haven't done anything to command your place in the team. Now, he probably sitting there looking at Sonny and going, this guy's playing that badly and I still can't get a minute. It's unfair, poor me, woe is me. But in reality, they're both as bad as each other. Richarlison last night, the one time he controlled the ball, he turned the wrong way and he could have put Sonny through. And then about 10 minutes later, there was a really good through ball fizzed through to him. And he almost looked like that Stuart Nethercott moment from 1995, when the ball gets crossed in and Nethercott just like puts his right leg out behind him to try and stop it, like a yoga pose. And Richarlison did the same thing last night, and it stinks. I rolled my eyes, I banged my desk. It's just appalling. It's appalling. And if Richarlison thinks that he's owed minutes because Sonny's playing badly, well, look in the mirror, bro, because you're playing just as badly in the few moments that you've had. I'm unimpressed with everything about this club at the moment, guys. I think the whole thing stinks. And I've probably been talking too long. On to Forest. I'm going to the game. Couldn't think of anything worse to do right now, but it's my dad's birthday, so we'll go and celebrate that. Morning, John. Guys, try and stay happy. Try and stay healthy. Let me know your thoughts. Have I missed anybody else out? Have I let somebody get off with one tonight or tomorrow? Last night? I think I've covered most of the people's performances. Gutless, cowardly, unengaging and passionless is how I'd sum it up. I'm not surprised. Oh well, this is the life we chose. Like, share and subscribe, guys, as always. Bye bye.